Every pregnancy needs utmost care and attention. But certain pregnancies need a little extra attention. An Rh negative mother carrying an Rh positive baby is at increased risk of complications. BSV is at the forefront to ensure safe delivery in every Rh negative pregnancy.
Hello and welcome to the Outside View presented by Women's Cricket Zone and brought to you by BSV, Puma, Food and Wellness, MRI Hospitals and MPL Sports Foundation. So the World Cup is done and dusted. We couldn't have asked for a better tournament. We saw everything there. Just to review this tournament for us, I have alongside me our experts, Julia Price and Danny Kirk. Welcome both of you to the show, and it's been a wonderful tournament. I remember we were doing the previews and the time has flied. We are here doing the review so fast there. But coming to you, Julia, first. This tournament showed us everything. Tense moments, close matches, quite a few matches going down the wire, testing our patience out there. But it probably was a dish that has every ingredient just perfect in it. And then we enjoyed having it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was an absolute cracker. And I think we sort of predicted it was going to be. I mean, obviously, the more investment there is in the women's game around the world, the better the standard's getting all the time. So I don't think we could have asked for a better World Cup. There were so many close games. Every team won at least one game, which was great. Some real nail-biters. And it was just, I mean, even right down to the final, it was still pretty exciting all the way through. So, and of course, Australia wins. So, you know, I'm very happy. So, but yeah, no, it was amazing. And just the showcase of talent by all the players was amazing. The facilities that they played at, we had a little bit of bad weather, but not too bad in the end. But you know, what a tournament.
Definitely, Wellington did show us some rain game there, but eventually we saw some really competitive games there. The women's game has progressed in leaps and bounds since over the course of time now, Dane. But in this tournament, the competitions that we saw, the fights that we saw, of course, we'll talk about the other teams as well, like Bangladesh as well. They were making their maiden appearance, but they showed us that they have it in them. They had nothing to lose. They performed well there. But when we look back at this tournament, we would definitely consider this as one of the biggest stride in women's cricket, because we saw a lot of things in this World Cup that unfolded that tells us that this level of competition, the level of fights has gone up, and the way ahead is only onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you can say that. I think it was one of the best World Cups that I've ever, I guess, watched, not be part of. But yeah, it's good to see. I mean, it's due for women's cricket, I guess, you know, with all the generations before this, you know, generation, all the, like, the platform and the hard work that they've done. And, you know, it's just nice to see that every single, I guess, generation leading up to this World Cup, you know, has had their hand in this World Cup. Actually, you could really feel like it was like this massive collective thing. You know, I mean, past players have been really invested in this World Cup, and I mean, I guess present players as well. So it's just testament to where women's cricket has come from and where it's going. And you know, I made the comment yesterday in studio where I said, where's women's cricket going at the moment? Like, it's booming, and it's becoming really lucrative, you know, for companies to get behind the sport and behind these teams. So yeah, and it needed a tournament like this, you know, for, I guess, corporate world to wake up to women's cricket and really take it seriously. Because I mean, I'd like to see the stats of how many people actually watched during this whole World Cup around the world. I think it'll be staggering. So you know, credit to everybody that was involved. You know, broadcasting media, everyone. You know, it probably wouldn't have been as big if it wasn't for them as well. And then obviously the players. And yeah, it also shows that the gap's closing between the countries. You know, the more exposure, the more games the team's going to play against the bigger sides. You know, the better, you know, the gaps are going to, or the closer the gaps are going to be. But I have to say that Australia showed us that they just, I guess, made the gap a little bit bigger after this World Cup. So everybody needs to step up again.
Of course, the gaps are closing, and a lot of people woke up. Actually, they they knew that these games are going to be interesting, they are intriguing, they're unfolding that, and that's a big positive there. Through this tournament, we got three big announcements also in CPL, PSL, and the much awaited IPL as well, Julia. So when we saw this kind of tournament unfolding, the kind of games that we saw, the kind of fielding, the batting, bowling, of course, there were impressive spells. There were some fabulous batting performances coming in, but there were some fabulous and stunning one-hander catches there as well. So the entire way the tournament unfolded, and with this announcements of these leagues coming in, we know that this was something that we all wanted to see coming, because we wanted for women's cricket to go beyond even more, and then to get those talents from the grassroots. These leagues are going to play a very big role ahead.
Yeah, well, it's made a huge difference in Australia and probably the world. The WBBL first sort of coming on the scene. We've got a lot of international players come into it, and the more cricket that people are playing at a high competitive level, the better the standard of the game gets, and that's good for the game everywhere. It's not just about improving Australians, and obviously we've seen that also with the 100, and by having these other three leagues, the domestic pathway will get stronger in those countries, which again will keep pushing the standard up all the time. I mean, Australia, obviously set the standard for this tournament, but we didn't win it last tour. So you know that other countries are going to be starting to eye off where Australia is and how do they topple Australia. So, and that's what we want. We want that constant challenging all the time and competitiveness around the world. And these sort of competitions really provide those opportunities for girls to be full-time, to earn a living from playing cricket, and that is their profession, and therefore they just continue to keep getting better and better all the time by playing in such great competitions.
And as you mentioned, that these the Australia's domination in this tournament, the bench strength, domestic circuit, it all reflected in their performance. But if you have to talk about the individual performances, we love taking predictions from our experts. We've been doing this throughout this tournament. Julia has been spot on quite a few predictions of her. But if we talk about the player who impressed you the most, to both of you, I'll come to Dane first. There were a lot of impressive performances coming in. Of course, it's difficult to choose one, but I guess no one from the experts there, and no one from the cricketing circuit as well, pinned their hopes a lot on Alyssa Healy, considering the form that she was entering into this tournament. But she produced some impressive performances, and a lot of other players as well there. But who impressed you the most, Dani, if you have to pick up one name there?
Yeah, I mean, Alyssa did really well at the back end there, but it was almost kind of expected in a way, going into this tournament. So I'm not going to pick her. I'm going to go with Pooja Vastraka. Sorry, I keep on putting an S in there somewhere. The Afrikaans is coming through strong. But yeah, Pooja for me has been incredible for India, coming in as just a bowler that we all know, turning into this really explosive all-rounder, coming down low in the order, winning games off the back of her bat for a country. The way she fielded, yeah, for me, it was between Sneh Rana and her. So I went with Pooja just because of her being, like, as I said, I only knew her as a pace bowler. Okay, I haven't played for my country for like 2 years, but I only saw her as a pace bowler, and for her to change the game off the back of her bat, for me, it's somebody that's really worked on her cricket, and I think she's going to have a massive future with Indian cricket.
Of course, and as we just mentioned about Alyssa Healy, she was the player of the series. Of course, Pooja Vastraka is someone who impressed Dane the most, but the way she turned out the table, 100 in the semi-final game, 100 in the final as well. So we have a picture, Dane, of you and Alyssa Healy. You, of course, played with her in the WBBL. We just wanted to know the story behind this picture. What is it? What was Healy telling to you at that moment? This is an interesting picture, and our viewers will want to know what was the story behind this.
It was actually it was my first big bash with the Sixers, and I think we had an injury or something. I think it was in the semi-final against Hobart, and I was told to go open, and I was just a bit nervous, I guess. I can't remember what she said. It's been a while, but yeah, it was just a I guess just one of those pictures that was taken. Yeah, I ended up, I think, getting a duck or something. So whatever was said, probably I didn't listen anyway. So
I hate to say it, that was the team I was coaching. So yeah, thanks for that. And you guys won.
that's actually what I wanted to say. I think Julia was there as well as the coach. So yeah, it wasn't great memories for both of us. I think, even though I think we won, it wasn't the best memories.
No, not good.
Not good. The picture is definitely great. But coming to you, Julia, with the same question, the player who impressed you the most in this long tournament?
Well, I mean, there were plenty, and I agree with Dana. I think that Elisa was really good at the back end, but obviously I've got about 5 names written down here, and I've had to try to work out which one I actually wanted, because I had obviously Woolvart, Hayley Matthews, Jastika Bardika, Sophie Eccleston, and Marizan, but I've actually gone for Beth Mooney, and not because she's Australian, but because I just think that she was I think she won one player of the match, but she just was so consistent throughout the entire tournament. She's batting at 4 and 5, which can be really, really tough as well, coming in different aspects of the game. Like I wrote down, I had a quick look, and some games she's coming in the 42nd and 43rd overs, and the other games she's coming in the 8th or the 11th overs. So, she's got 2 really different styles of games that she's got to play there, whether it's saving the team and getting them back on track, or whether it's accelerating and getting them home in the death. And then she ended up only getting out twice from her 6 innings, scoring 330 runs, highest score of 66 not out, and 110 average with a 100 strike rate. So to me, she was sort of the unsung hero of the Australian team. She just is there all the time. She's flexible. She can go up and down the order. She obviously had to push up when Perry got injured. And to me, she's sort of is really what the Australian team's about, and that depth and just being able to rely on not just your superstars, but even though she is a superstar, but just then she's not one of the names that always gets dragged out all the time. So I thought she did an amazing job, and she was unbelievable in the field. Some of her catching this year was fantastic in the tournament as well.
Yes, I'm going to come to that only because with the bat, of course, we know that the number that she comes into bat, that's probably the most important place for the side, the spot for the side, and she didn't probably she didn't do anything wrong in this tournament, and some brilliant catches from her as well. So we have Pooja Vastrkar and Beth Mooney as the players who impressed our experts the most. But of course, ahead of this World Cup, we were talking about a lot of names who would step up for the side, who we pinned a lot of hopes on. But if I were to ask you both about a player that you thought would do much better than the way she did in this tournament, a little bit disappointed from the way that particular player carried herself in this tournament, then who would it be for you, Dane?
I actually wrote down Dotton. I just think the way she batted against South Africa in that the series leading up to the World Cup was just incredible, and I thought she was really gaining some momentum. I thought, it's a player we always look out for. But I just thought with the form that she went in, I thought, yes, she's going to, turn this World Cup alight. But I think, yes, she had 1 or 2 explosive innings, but I don't think, she probably performed as well as she wanted to, and as well as we wanted her to, because the moment Dotton comes off, it's entertainment. So for me, it's just, she bowled well, she came into that game and all those things, but I just think consistently throughout the tournament, it was not a name that we really spoke about often enough for her talent.
Of course, and we kind of put our predictions considering the form that a particular player carries to that ahead of this tournament, in the lead up of the tournament. So who would that be for you, Julia?
Who was the leader of I'm sorry, I missed you. Just dropped out in that question then.
Like I was saying, the same question only, but I mentioned that we predict someone to do well in the tournament considering the form in the lead up of a tournament like that of World Cup. So who do you think didn't live up to the expectations? Of course, we know that World Cup is a different ball game altogether, and it's a different beast, as Dane always says it. But which player do you think that would have done better? You expected that player to do better, but it just didn't click for that player in this tournament.
Yeah, well, again, I wrote down 4 players, and Deandra was one of them. I actually had her when I originally did my predictions that she was going to be the not necessarily maybe the player of the tournament, or but at least be topping the averages. Because again, after that series against South Africa, she was crazy good, just in really good form, and I thought she would just continue that through. But unfortunately, she didn't really. But I had Mitali Raj in there as well. I didn't think she really performed at her best. Stefani Taylor, again, I don't think she did her best either. Only got 150 for the whole tournament. But my pick was Catherine Brunt. She's normally such a competitor. She did come back towards the end, I have to admit, but only picking up 4 wickets for the tournament and only scoring 83 runs for her. She's a class act, and showed that she, that shone through towards the end. In the semi-finals and finals, where she, got the ball pitched up there and got it swinging again, and that helped her. But I just think she probably just didn't perform the best that she could have, and what we know she can do as well. So that would have been quite disappointing for her, no doubt.
Of course, but having said that, we know that it's a World Cup, it's a pressure game, but of course we saw quite a few impressive performances. But if you have to talk about the captain who impressed you both the most, am I getting Meg Lannon's answer from both of you, or it's something different there, Dani?
No, it is different. Absolutely. I just think.
Yeah.
No, I'm not taking away anything from Meg. She's got a million World Cups. There's no doubt about the fact that she's a good captain. I think she's surrounded by very good cricketers as well, and cricketers that was in form. And that, as a captain, when that happens, your life is a lot easier. Again, not taking away from her tactically. She's got a great cricket brain. She leads from the front with the bat, everything. But I just think, again, Heather Knight, rallying your troops, three losses in a row, and you need to play a knockout game every single game. I think as a captain, that takes a lot. I think it's a massive toll on her. But the way she handled herself, the way she, rallied her troops, for me as a captain, that was something that was really impressive for me and stood out for me. So, again, not taking away anything from Meg, a great captain, but just if I look at the standout and how, she had to really bring her group together, that takes a special type of leader to do that as well.
Definitely. And of course, when we talk about Meg Lannon, we know that the Australian team is full of superstars, and to have that headache of actually managing those superstars, who comes into bat at what number, and then managing your bowlers as well. She deserves all the credit. There's it's no brainer there. But Heather Knight, of course, as you mentioned, Dani, the kind of comeback that England made, defending champions, they didn't enter the tournament as absolute favorites, but they had a lot of hopes pinned on them, considering that they were the defending champions, and they showed a lot of character. And definitely Heather Knight had a big role to play in it. What's your pick, Julia? Which is the skipper that impressed you the most?
Yeah, again, like Dana, I haven't picked Meg. Not for any reason other than the fact that, I think she just kept her cool the whole time, and that was great. But it does help when you've just got all these other people around you who are just complete superstars. But I actually had 4 people written down, which I always seem to for some reason. But Heather was definitely one of them. I mean, the fact that they nearly, they were hanging on by the skin of their teeth after their first 3 losses, and to get through, you've got to have a very cool captain in there who's not panicking, who's making good decisions under pressure, who's keeping their team on track. So I thought she was great, but I also thought Sophie Devine was fantastic as well. And I also thought Suna Luce did such a great job in the absence of you, Dana. I think she just did a really, really good job of trying to manage. She obviously had a few injuries in there. They also had some pretty tight games that she got everyone over the line with as well. So I just think the captaincy is the other thing that's really improving with a lot of these competitive games, and putting lots of people under pressure constantly, and that does really test the captains out. So, but I'd probably say Heather Knight for mine as well.
Of course, and you just mentioned about the close matches there, and say on the same page, both of you. But of course, you mentioned you guys talking about the close matches, Dane. Of course, the South African matches were quite a few matches were down the wire and gave you a lot of heart attacks there. But if you look back at the tournament, and if you have to pick one game that tested your patience the most, your favorite close match of this tournament, if you can tell us that.
South Africa had so many, first of all. So, South Africa had so many, but for me, Deandra Dotton, that last over, was that at the World Cup? Look, I'm afraid I'm going to say it and then it's wrong. But look, South Africa I'm not gonna like I had a lot of favorites because South Africa won. Don't get me wrong. So I'm just gonna go away from South Africa and be like, that was incredible. Like that was just something like we did not expect. Who they're gonna throw the ball to? Dotton goes, give it to me. She hasn't bowled in how long? Executes to the Yorker like she bowled it 2 overs ago. So I think just for me, that like that freakiness of that whole game and that last like over, that excited me. That was pretty special.
Of course, the surprise packages facing the hosts, and that was the very first match of this tournament, and just put all of us in awe. Which is the match that strikes your mind, Julia?
That was the same one again. We're on the same page, Dano. We're all over this. But I agree. Hayley Matthews got them off to an amazing start with a fantastic ton. Dotton was in pretty good form in that, particularly with the ball at the end there. And then obviously Sophie Devine got 100 as well. And it was just down to the wire. It was crazy, but it set the scene for the rest of the World Cup. You know, it was just such high quality, close games, unbelievable talent on show. It was fantastic. The best way to kick off a World Cup. Not for New Zealand, maybe, but for everyone else.
Definitely for West Indies. But ahead of the World Cup, we had quite a few names who we expected to be the breakout stars of this tournament. Who was the breakout star for you, Julia? What did you predict, and was it the same, or you look back at the tournament, one player that completely came in there and made a greater impact on the tournament? If we have to talk about the breakout star, who would be your pick there?
Again, I've written down a few, but it's funny that I actually had Pooja Vastraka as one of my breakout players. Exactly what you were saying before. Dane was, you know, the fact that she's started to score some runs with the bat, didn't even bowl in the game that she got player of the match and 67 runs, picked up 10 wickets at 18. I mean, it's fantastic, her average. But Charlie Dean and Sophia Dunkley also were my other two that were really crucial and really, you know, worked hard this tournament and really sort of have set the stage for, because obviously, again, it's a little bit of an aging team. There might be a couple of retirements, and I think they're starting to look good in that sort of spin department with Eccleston and Charlie Dean pairing up. And then you've got Sophia Dunkley, who kept a pretty cool head, has a few little technical issues she might just need to iron out, but her intent to score runs and her want to do that, and even just under pressure, she's been fantastic at 6 and 7 for England.
Definitely. And for you, Danny?
I mean, no, there's something wrong here, Julia. There's something wrong. I wrote down Sophia Dunkley / Charlie Dean. What's going on?
Get out of my head.
That's insane. But yeah, I have to agree again with Julia. Yeah, Sophia Dunkley for me, just the way she came in, looked like she took to international cricket like a house on fire. At the World Cup, trying to take the game on all the time. And then Charlie Dean, obviously, complimenting Sophie Eccleston, really playing with the pace. Yeah, got the better serve, you know, better headache. So yeah, I literally wrote those two. So let's keep going.
Let's keep going. There's a good bond here, and the predictions are just the views. We wouldn't say predictions now, but the answers coming in are same, and that's lovely to have because we had quite a few players, and of course, you both spoke of Sophia Dunkley, the way she brought herself back into the team after she was dropped, played in the domestic circuit, worked on her game, and definitely she deserves all the credit for the performances that England brought to the fore. It was a lovely tournament, of course, Australia winning their 7th title, showing their domination, and 2017 semi-final exit, and from then we have seen just an altogether different dominating Australia and just lifting the trophy on 3rd of April. It was a lovely tournament, a lot of positives to take. All the teams came in there, gave strong fights there, and we couldn't have asked for anything better than this. This was all about, from the big tournament review, what is the thing that impressed you the most, the players you think impressed you the most, or the breakout stars? Do let us know in the comment section below. And until then, you stay tuned to Women's Cricket Zone for all the updates on women's cricket.